Eastern Cape province of South Africa is synonymous with automobiles. With a highly skilled workforce, cutting-edge research and development facilities, top-notch institutions of higher education, and a dense automotive supply chain, the Eastern Cape is Africa's automotive center. The Eastern Cape is the largest exporter of vehicles in South Africa and its largest production hub. 6 original equipment manufacturers and numerous multinationals have headquarters or plants in the Eastern Cape. 3 ports, including a deep water port, ensure logistical efficiency for the automotive sector. 2 special economic zones offer world-class infrastructure, tax incentives, rebates and a duty-free zone, purpose-built for manufacturing of export goods. The region's automotive sector employs more than 30,000 people, including engineers and advanced manufacturing experts. The Eastern Cape invites partnerships. Contact us for support around incentives and information for investment, or for advice concerning potential partnerships or agreements with any industry role player, including part manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, e-mobility, and part distribution or procurement. The Automotive Industry Development Center, your partner in becoming globally competitive.
Thank you, colleagues. We as the AIDC Eastern Cape, I think there have been a lot of people that have still joined as we've been progressing through the morning. But we as the AIDC Eastern Cape are very proud of the automotive sector. Our existence is largely to make sure that the automotive sector grows in the Eastern Cape as a key contributor to the economy. And we play a role with multiple other stakeholders, including yourself and your business, to make sure that the automotive sector does grow in the province. Maybe some key housekeeping issues before we continue further. One is that if you do have any questions throughout the day, we will flight the number shortly, but if you do have any questions that arise as we are progressing through the program, please feel free to WhatsApp your questions to the number 063 180 8633. 063 180 8633. So that number will collate your question with other questions, and we will identify the themes if applicable, and we will respond to it throughout the day. The other matter with respect to when you did register up at the front, you received a tag, and on that tag, it was a duplicate tag. You would have had the opportunity to put that particular tag, I think it was a color tag, either orange, green, or yellow. You would have had the opportunity to put it into one of these jars that are sitting in front of us here. Please make sure that you do that, firstly. And secondly, please note that if you have entered in multiple categories, if you do win, it will only apply to one category. So you won't be able to necessarily qualify for another category if you've won in one category. So if I can please ask, don't forget to put your tag into that particular jar that's applicable to you. Colleagues, as you noticed just pre-break, we shifted gear a bit. We started getting a little bit more technical with the franchise discussion. And I think that it's important for us to understand that although you might be a small business moving towards becoming an impactful business, you have the opportunity to establish a franchise or also participate in a franchise. So it would be good for you to make sure that you do have the necessary support and the right information in order to progress forward. If you do need the contact details, we will put up a slide later as well with all the contact details of the speakers that are relevant, that are not here, so that you can engage with them post the event. We do have the next speaker who is going to be focusing on occupational health and safety compliance. It's a critical component of our business, and we find, or of your business, and we find that that it's something that's regular and that needs to be updated within your business. And as during our diagnostic assessments of your businesses, we found that that is a critical component that is necessary. And part of the work that AIDC Eastern Cape is doing is ensuring that your business remains compliant. If it's compliant, then it's able to actually cater for the necessary standards that are required by industry. If you do qualify and pass those and meet those standards, then you do obviously access additional work, additional contracts, etc. So it's an important part of the business, of your business and our business as well, and the industry. We have Mr. Tembelani Mkhotyana from Minkline Consulting, who is the founder of the business, who's got extensive experience in the field of occupational health and safety, and who is a registered member of SIOSH and the Institute of Safety Management. He is also accredited with the ETDP CETA to conduct outcomes-based assessments in the OHS field. He holds a B Admin from University of Fort Hare and a National Diploma in Safety Management from UNISA. And he has 15 years experience in construction, automotive, and agricultural sectors in the field of occupational health and safety. Please welcome him as he speaks to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Rowan, for that warm and rather decorated introduction. As stated, my name is Tembelani Mkhotyana. I'm pleased to be here to share some insights on a topic that has been my passion for the past 15 years or so. A big thanks goes to the organizers of this expo, really for putting issues of OHS to the fore, because health and safety really is a topic that does not get spoken about enough. You hear of OHS after a terrible incident has happened, perhaps like the one in George, where 33 people lost their lives because of a building collapse. Or prior to that, maybe you would have heard about OHS with the incident that happened in Johannesburg CBD, where 70 people lost their lives because the building was not compliant with OHS regulations. They just could not escape. There were no escape routes. So we have these challenges that we are facing as a country of OHS. Compliance levels are still relatively very, very low. So my hope is that after this session, after we've taken a deep dive on the matter, we'll go back to our respective workplaces and strive to create a workplace environment that protects the health and safety of its employees. Fortunately, we do have a legal framework in our country that seeks to protect the health and safety of our workers, not only workers, but if you are having a facility, it's also your duty to actually ensure that the facilities are safe. Hence, we had the gentleman from the ICC giving us a safety briefing this morning. It's part of their duty. Next slide. The legal framework and the overarching legislation that we have that seeks to protect the safety of our workers is the Occupational Health and Safety Act, that is Act 85 of 1993, whose purpose is very clear, and that is to provide for the health and safety of people at work. I'll just take out three important sections from that act that I deem to be important. Section 8 speaks to the duty of all employers, big or small. So if you are an SMME owner, this speaks to you directly in that you need to provide a workplace that is safe for all workers. I'm not going to go into detail in terms of how to do that, but for you just to understand that that is your duty and responsibility. Section 13 speaks to the importance of ensuring that the employees are aware of the dangers that are inherent in their respective jobs and the activities that they get engaged in on a daily basis. Section 38 speaks to about what happens if you, as an employer, contravene some of the sections of the Act and on what the legal repercussions of that may be. So if you're an employer and you are willfully going against the contraventions of the Act, or you are willfully engaged in activities that do not safeguard the health and safety of employees, you are likely to be fined or you're likely to go to jail. As simple as that. So for all employers, take note of that section, that if you are prosecuted, you are likely to face the music. If I may move to the next slide, which speaks to what I call the cost of non-compliance. In other words, what happens if we do not comply. The first one, I've touched on it. Maybe you may ask, who's going to jail? The accounting officer will be the one who will be prosecuted, or the CEO of a company will be the one who will be prosecuted. So take note, CEOs and HODs in the house, that if something happens, you are the one who is going to answer. The second one, if you do not comply, speaks to reputational damage. No one wants to be associated with a company that does not comply with the laws of the country. If you look at some of the OEMs, I know that they conduct regular health and safety audits on their suppliers, their component suppliers, because they want to ensure that they comply and they don't want to be associated with a company that does not comply, because they want to protect their image and safeguard their reputation. Cost of non-compliance also speaks to the damage to property. What comes to mind there is the incident that happened on Bree Street, where there was a gas explosion in Johannesburg that completely destroyed that street. And now the reconstruction cost of that is running at around 200 million. Had they complied, we would not be speaking of that figure. Obviously, disruptions to operations. I can take you back to George again. You had developers there that had a clear plan to construct apartments and for them to resell those apartments and make money. But that has all now come to naught because of non-compliance that resulted in that horrific incident up there. You would take note that I'm not talking about accidents. I'm talking about incidents. Because if it's preventable, then it ceases to be an accident. It just becomes an issue of people not following safety protocols, standards, and regulations. So in our world, there's nothing called an accident. It's always an incident because there's someone who did not do something that they were supposed to do, or acts or omissions. The last one is increased absenteeism. If you have a health and safety incident that requires people to be hospitalized, it then follows then that you've got less staff members in your team, lower productivity, that obviously leads to lower revenues leading to lower profitability and basically threatening the sustainability of the business. Now, we've been tasked to assess the health and safety compliance levels of this financial year, 85 SMMEs that belong to the AIDC EC Automotive Aftermarket program. So far, we've assessed 25 SMMEs in the border region. 20 SMMEs have been audited in the Gqeberha region, and the balance of 40 or so SMMEs we're still going out there before the end of the financial year. Compliance levels are terrible. We're sitting at 10% compliance levels, but this is exactly what we wanted to see so that we can know how to intervene. It's work in progress, and we, as I'm saying, we're hoping to complete this work by the end of the financial year. Next slide. Now, these are some of the items that we picked up during our visits. Chemical exposure, we know that mechanics and panel beaters They're exposed to chemicals, oil lubricants. Unfortunately, our people are still using bare hands to handle such chemicals which are hazardous and harmful. Electrical hazards, the use of electrical tools, some of them with exposed wiring and giving rise to risks of electrocution or even fires. Economic strains, that speaks to that we are still engaged in manual work that puts strains on our people and which leads to possible back injuries and the like. And PPE is still a big issue. Some of our guys are still working with bare hands with no protection. Next slide. Also, we picked up on issues of slippery floors, which give rise to slips, trips, and falls. The facilities remain a fire hazard with limited firefighting equipment in place. And there's lack of emergency preparedness. If there were to be an emergency, there would be chaos with people not knowing where to run to or to converge in a case of an emergency. Lack of medical certificates. In this industry, everyone must undergo a medical assessment to check whether you are fit for the work that you are doing. That is also non-existent. And lastly, to be registered with COIDA, the Compensation for Occupational Injuries and Diseases Act, to safeguard workers in the event that they get injured, that they may be compensated whilst they are off work, or for their medical expenses to be covered by the commissioner should they be off work. So these are some of the issues that we've picked up in our travels when we were auditing the SMMEs. However, we have come up with certain interventions so far that assist us to get to better levels of compliance. This is what we've done. We've assisted SMMEs to draft OHS policies, clear statements to say that they are pledging and committing to compliance. We've drafted risk assessments, health and safety risk assessments for them to understand the risks that are prevalent in those workshops. We've also developed safety operating manuals, step-by-step approach in terms of how to execute an activity in a safe manner. And we've also provided them with safety training manuals and emergency plans. So SMMEs broadly have been encouraged to aim for compliance, OHS compliance as required by the Act. OHS is just one of the myriad of compliance issues that SMMEs have to comply with in order to access markets and the likes. Next slide. I think that's my conclusion. Thank you for your time and patience.
Thank you very much, Thembelani, for that insight. I think it is a challenge to stick to legal compliance, but the night before, a few nights ago, we were sitting with the Minister of Employment and Labour. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And one of the SMMEs mentioned the need to fast track and, in a sense, try and resolve the issue of compliance. And compliance is critical. The response of the minister was that compliance is critical. We can understand the administrative processes that could be made more efficient by introducing technology, streamlining the process, etc. But compliance is critical. And it's something that we have to abide by as a sovereign state. And I think Thembelani mentioned the importance or the critical nature of non-compliance. And I think it's very important for us to have these kind of guys around to make sure that we keep ourselves safe, you know. And what I'd like to do is open sort of the floor for a Q&A. And I think, have you got the mic? Where's the mic? If there are any questions, please feel free to shoot your hand up for Thembelani. None. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah. I think feel free to engage with Tembelani post the session. The insight that he presented from his time with the relevant SMMEs is a credit to us supporting the work that you're doing as an aftermarket SMME. There are other interventions that are planned in light of what we have found to provide support. So colleagues, for the next part of the program, we plan to have a panel discussion. If I can ask ABSA, Standard Bank, SALGA, and MTN to come up, the representatives of each of those institutions, to join us on the stage. If you don't mind coming up, please. Colleagues, we did start the discussion around franchising, and the purpose of this particular section is around franchising and the role of enterprise development support. The institutions represented here today are known agencies and known companies in our space. And the idea behind it is for us to provide more detailed information about the products and services that they do offer so that they remain accessible and that there's a clear understanding of how to access the services that they do provide. So they've been around for a long time in this country. They've been influential in this country in the direction of the economy. And as a result, we'd like them to give some time and space to explaining what they do offer to our community of SMMEs. What I'd like to do is maybe starting from this side, is if each panel member could introduce themselves, their organization, and then what we will do is we will follow through with the work that you are doing in the space. So maybe let's start on this side with ABSA.
Thank you very much, and a good morning to everyone, and thanks for making the time to attend. My name is Khalaleto Twaele. I'm the head of enterprise development at ABSA Relationship Banking, and we provide a lot of support to empowered entities. So the technical term is EMEs and QMEs, and we see the automotive aftermarket subsector as critical in creating an inclusive economy. The barriers to entry are not as high as if you want to get into the mainstream of the tier 1 to 3 in the automotive industry. And we do believe that there's an opportunity to actually create a big ecosystem with partners and ensure that our SMEs out there have opportunities to participate in this sector where there's significant de-risking because they're not going on their own. They have an ecosystem that supports them. And from an ABSA point of view, there's a deliberate focus in this space. We've got a dedicated team within our sector. We call it the wholesale retail and franchise sector that has got a dedicated support and focus onto the aftermarket, the automotive industry aftermarket. And we do believe that it's a value-adding value proposition, as well as ensuring that there is support. We also do have specialists across the country that focus in this sub-segment, and they do get support from the head office. And yeah, we are happy to be able to contribute to the expansion of the sector and, of course, the collaboration that we have with key stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
On?
I think I'm not on. Okay, testing 1 2 1 2. I think I'm not on yet. I did not. It's on. Okay. I think you can hear me. Okay. Thank you so much once again. Good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you once as well from AIDC leadership for having us as MTN. My name is Songezo Masiso. I am the general manager for MTN Eastern Cape as a region, what we call Eastern Region. In my portfolio, I look after the business. Volume? Oh, okay. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay, all right. I was using my bedroom voice there. Let me try a little bit more, all right? I am a salesperson after all, so let me use my sales voice. So I look after MTN. I was saying I look after MTN as a general manager for MTN Eastern Cape. And the portfolio I look after includes, all the elements of MTN South Africa. That drives, that's from the MTN consumer business, the enterprise business, the fintech business, and underlying that is then obviously the technology piece. In other words, the network, the coverage network that we provide to all our customers. So, and today, Robin Rilla will be talking about what do we do in that space, especially in the enterprise space, because you as the audience in this room, you are our customers from an enterprise perspective in your respective businesses. So we service the SME sector, quite a key focus for us in terms of our products and services. But beyond that, you'll see on the right-hand side, we've got an MTN desk there, which is manned by one of our franchisees, actually. So beyond just providing products and services, our franchisees are actually an extension of our sales and distribution. And it's work that we do and that we started years ago to transform the franchise space on our side, and we continue to do that. And obviously there's franchise opportunities around the space. And probably the third element maybe I'll talk about is around what are we doing from an enterprise development, because we do have an accelerator program that we're running to try and ensure that we can do business with SMEs such as yourselves, obviously where relevant. The colleagues in the room are playing in the automotive space, and it means then if there are opportunities within MTN, within the accelerator program, you can then be part of that program as such. So that's really what we're all about. Thank you.
Hello, 1, 2.
You're online.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank the AIDC for inviting us, Standard Bank. My name is Bongani Lukele. I'm a manager of enterprise and supply development of Standard Bank head office. My work actually is around assisting small, medium enterprises. I think the SMEs that are sitting here actually fall squarely within my mandate to say how then we make access to finance, because we as a bank, my colleague is here, we've been seen as the people that are so difficult for SMEs. I think this SME sitting here, they don't want to hear the word bank. Even they don't want to visit any bank. Now, as Standard Bank, in my role, we come with different solution and mechanism to make sure that, yes, you don't qualify for finance now, but then how do we work with you under enterprise development to make you ready to qualify for normal access to finance? In my space, we get funds from the net profit after tax of Standard Bank that get allocated to ESD to say then use these funds to make sure that these SMEs, you assist them with grants. We only work with grants in my space. Now, just to say, one of the things that we just done now, we just entered into agreement with AIDC to say how then we assist the SME in the aftermarket with access to finance. What has happened that we signed 1.5 million assistance to these SMEs, then the 1 million will be around the soft loans for this SME. Soft loans means that no interest, no any cost to the SME, and 500,000 will be grant top up. Now, when these SMEs apply for this working capital, these funds will be working capital for this market. When they apply for this, now there won't be any cost to them. And on top of that, we're going to do 80-20. 80% a soft loan with no interest, you return it, we agree. 20% of the agreement will be a grant towards this SME. Now, this other way to say what is the solution that will be relevant to this market that you are faced with, because it's a challenge for this market actually, because they need us when they're still here. Not when they're Polish, when they're up there, when we have to chase for them and say, come and bank with us. Now, it's better if we assist them here, they grow their businesses, then we know that we've got a clientele of business. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, and thanks, Program Director. I'm the poor cousin of the fellow panelist. I work for the South African Local Government Association. We are established through Section 163 of the Constitution to support municipalities, to capacitate municipalities, to advise municipalities, sort of to assist in the thoroughgoing transformation of local government. There are indeed a number of things that we find very relevant in the conversation that is unfolding in this session. We do want to appreciate the invite from AIDC and looking forward to the partnership.
Thank you very much, panelists. Thank you. Maybe if I can start with the first question to all the panelists. Your understanding of what you see as trends coming up for the future of SMMEs. I think a lot of your business is governed around projections and the future and how you gear your products and support services to what's happening in industry. How do you see, particularly in the SMME market, and now there's a new term that's rocked up that's called micro. So we've got micro businesses that are probably one man, two man, three man, three-person, should I say, three-person businesses. How do you see that evolving in the next 5 years to 10 years? And what products have you started introducing that align to that need that you see in the future? Maybe if we can start with Absa.
Yeah. So when you're looking at the micro, you're probably looking at the either it's a small enterprise or it's a small family business, right? And the intention is to make a living out of it. So what we do is that we ensure that they become sustainable. So we capacitate them with the right tools to ensure that they are able to actually still focus on the core business and also be able to have access to information or solutions that assist them to grow their business. Because if they manage to get that micro one, let's say it's 1 unit, if they happen to get it to be well-functioning, thriving, and we are able to provide, a blended finance to them, they can easily, within a short space of time, be able to grow and get into the next phase where they can acquire, scale, an additional outlet, and they can also diversify because the aftermarket, space is quite broad. There's new innovation coming in through various OEMs. They are bringing in turnkey solutions that are easy to access. And for us, it's being able to say how best do we support them with the right product. Easy transactional products, easy payment methods that are cost-effective and that allow them to actually get a very short period between, when they actually do the transaction and when they get their money into their account, as well as being able to support them with insights that allow them to keep, with the trends in the market. They must know, which products are moving quickly. They must also be agile enough to be able to change their strategy if they see that it is not necessarily going according to their expectations. And that, I think, is what is critical about how we support the micro enterprises. Simple products, easily adaptable to the scale, and also the ability to introduce new products as quickly as we see that their business is expanding or is taking a certain direction and keeping close to them and understanding their progress. I think that is how we support the micro enterprises, because they will not remain micro forever. And those that are entrepreneurial, we are ready to take them to the next level and actually graduate them to, from being a micro to a medium enterprise. Thank you.
MTN.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, the question you asked about the micro within the SME sector. As I said, it's really a big focus in our organization at MTN. And how we look at this market is that this is a market that's about 2.7 million in terms of entities in South Africa. Majority of that is in the informal market, about 1.8 million of that. Leaves about almost 800,000 of the formal market, which comprises of colleagues in the room. In that formal market, what we see that 97% of that market is actually sitting in the small and micro, in particular in the micro space. What that tells us then as MTN, as a technology provider, that what are the needs of these micro businesses out there. So we recently did a research as MTN, and we found trends, to your point. What are the trends that the micro businesses, small businesses in the technology space specifically that we are seeing? Top things that come out on that is that one of the first things that actually has nothing to do with technology, but is very important, is that we're seeing that globally SMEs, micro SMEs, are looking to do business with businesses that are focusing on ESG, environment, social, and governance. And we're seeing that a lot of SMEs themselves are looking to venture into the space. It's quite critical because they see those businesses as very progressive businesses. We at MTN, it's a massive focus as a group around ESG. That's the first thing. If I look at from a technology perspective, the SMEs, we're seeing that they're looking to spend their money on solutions such as platform as a service or device as a service. In other words, your cloud-based solutions. These are micro businesses that are nimble. They're looking to be very agile as and when they're doing their businesses. They're looking to be connected everywhere, anywhere they go. So they're looking for cloud-based solutions, platform as a service, and cybersecurity is also coming up as a trend. So in other words, the whole digital solutions in this space is quite important. Now, linked to that, obviously, access to infrastructure, access to funding, access to market is one of the key challenges that are facing this sector, in particular the micro. So what are we doing as MTN? We obviously, from a solutions perspective, we have partnered with Microsoft to provide what we call, it's called Microsoft Frontline Services, which are mostly relevant in the automotive industry. These frontline solutions is basically your cloud-based collaborative solutions that give you access to platforms that allow you to have meetings on the go, that allow you to manage your inventory, that allow you to give analytics within your business in a cloud-based manner, in a platform as a service manner. So that's one of the things that we are doing. Then in terms of trying to support the sector around elements of access to funding, access to market, we're also establishing what we call a marketplace as MTN, which we're launching later this year. The marketplace will actually allow SMEs, micro SMEs like yourselves, to actually place your own products and services onto a platform that we create and able to have commercials between ourselves as well as the SMEs out there. We believe that is one of the future trends that are happening because access to market is quite key. And platforms as such will give then SMEs, micro SMEs, an expansion in terms of the territory where you can play. In other words, you don't play only in your geography that you are in, but you're able to play at a global space because then of technologies such as the marketplace. And I think the last one is then we recently launched last year what we call an MTN SME Hub, which is really a resource platform that allows you to have tools to be able to progress your business. It gives you gives you direction as to where can you access funding, as an example. And this is a free to access platform, which I'm proud to announce actually was awarded last week, what they call Bloggers Award, at one of the awards that were held in Johannesburg, as one of the platforms that have got relevant content and how it's placed in the market. Thanks.
Thank you.
No, thanks very much. I think we are aligned sitting here, all of us, The major challenge with what we've seen with macro businesses is that, it's very key, guys. Compliance is very key. There is this element of these businesses, they don't want to comply. And when they come to the institution like the banks, compliance is very key. Now, you miss compliance. Let me say you are producing juice and you don't comply. The institution like the bank won't be able to advance you the cash that you need because you'll need those compliance documents. I think if we can, I beg you all, if we can make sure that we comply with all the standards of the industrial where we are, the business that we are doing is very key. It's what we emphasize. How then do we assist with that? As the bank, we create initiatives that will assist and zoom into the challenges of the SME because the blanket approach, sometimes it fails some of the SMEs where they need help. Now, we zoom to say, pay SME, where is that assistance needed, and make sure that we work with you through our external sales provider to address those challenges that you are faced with as an SME around compliance. Another main focus is around collaboration. I'm sitting next to MTN, I'm sitting next to ABSA here, I'm sitting next to my colleague. I think as South Africa, we don't have a shortage of cash for these businesses. But the thing is that we don't collaborate, we as custodians of this market. Now, hence the drive from Standard Bank is that we collaborate, hence with IEDC, we said, where's the challenge? We don't want to come with a solution. Where's the challenge? How we solve for that? We also collaborate with other mining, industrial, and all the sectors is where we see is very key because when you get a business as an SME, that business that you've got, there are challenges that we need to go over. And then the contract issue or the person that gave you the business need to understand how we as corporate, we make access to finance easy for you. Now, by doing so, we talk to them to say, we're looking at your supply chain. How then do we work together to make sure that the SME that are awarded opportunities that get access to finance, on top of that, they comply? What initiative, what programs we build into whatever we do with that corporate? We sign a lot of MOUs with different corporates where we are working, and we are zooming into their supply chain to make sure that the opportunities that you get there, you can be able to deliver because you'll have a support from the financial institution, you've got a support from the contract issuer, and you've got external support from the service provider that will make sure that you deliver to the task that is awarded to you. On top of that, we also do, I think we spoke about this before when I was presenting here around Eastern Cape. There are opportunities that SME they get, and excess finance becomes a challenge. Okay? We assist our SME because when you come to the bank, you can go to any bank. What they need when you apply for facility, you'll need to have a skin in the game. We call it a skin in the game in finance, where we need a deposit. That deposit is a sign of commitment, you as the owner. Now, we saw with a lot of our small businesses, okay, you just been awarded a contract, and you go to us and say, your banker to say, I need this facility. Then they approve it, they say 20% deposit. That 20% deposit come to 800,000. No one is sitting with 800,000 as a business. Okay? And you can't go to the bank and say, but I've only got 300,000, shortfall of 400,000. Don't approve it. Now, we came within our ESD, the funds that get allocated to us, we assist what we call top up to SME as a grant to those SME to make sure that the shortfall of the deposit we cover from the grants that are awarded. Those are some of the mechanisms and solutions that we bring to the SMEs because you are the future of our business. Thank you.
Thank you, Salga.
Now, thanks, Program Director. Mine will be slightly different. These are the finance guys. I think your question has to do with what is our observation of the emerging trends in terms of micro enterprises. And I think one of the things that we need to to probably consider is that we might be talking about people who are not in the room. And that might be a problem. And in my view, that is an unavoidable disruptor in terms of the guys that are in the room. I think this is in the room, in my observation, is probably the missing middle, if I were to use Minister Blade Zimande's language. Because I don't think in the room we have those well-established guys who are active in this space. Just by looking at the faces that are here. So these are the highly pressurized, this is the highly pressurized cohort that we have in the room. We have the disruptor that is not in the room. The guy who fixes cars from his own yard. The guy who panel beats a vehicle one at a time, and the guy who is very difficult to contain in terms of compliance. The guy who takes a few square meters from an established auto service outlet to panel beat a vehicle. The guy who takes a garage at home and paints a vehicle. All of those guys are very difficult to contain in terms of compliance. But unfortunately, we do have to demand of businesses to comply. The financing sector is expecting of this cohort to comply. We are expecting of this cohort to comply. We are expecting these guys to demonstrate that they are established. So the trend requires of us to apply our mind in terms of that unavoidable disruptor. And the absence of the well-established in conversations of this nature. And that's my opinion. So in other words, we have to start looking at interventions that were there that could be revived in order to assist businesses in this category to become well-established. So in other words, our intention, and I hope banks are not looking at assisting this cohort to buy equity in the well-established guys, but to assist this cohort to become established businesses themselves. In other words, therefore, part of what we could do between ourselves as the local government sector and national and provincial government, including state entities, is to facilitate transfer of some of those assets that are dilapidated as we speak. Your small business enterprises, outlets in various townships and towns that we used to have during the pre-1994 era, so that this cohort could have access to spaces to run their businesses. And such businesses are businesses that could, by design, be structured in such a way that where you use chemicals, you are able to comply. You dispose your chemicals in a proper way. Such businesses are structured in such a way that in terms of zoning of municipalities, they are able to comply in terms of bylaws of municipalities. So there is a variety of stakeholders that are very critical in order to enable this cohort to survive, so that they don't get drawn by the unavoidable disruptor or swallowed by the well-established, so to speak. Because I really think that this is the cohort that is somewhere in the middle between the unavoidable disruptor and the well-established. And therefore, there are specific interventions that we need to consider. The sector is very big. The space is very big. Talking about local government alone, we have maintenance and repairs that municipalities outsource. And that is a very big space for these companies to operate. We now have a procurement system that enables municipalities to issue out tenders for procurement of fleet. Municipalities need fleet management system. Municipalities need the supply of oils and lubricants. So it's a very big space that this particular cohort could actually comply, operate. Obviously, when we're talking about oils and lubricants and other lubricants, banks are going to start competing with the very same cohort, because our view is that we shouldn't be asking of banks to supply municipalities with petrol cars. but rather have companies that supply that particular service so that you can have a proper fleet management system. So technically, you might end up with some banks competing with the very same cohort that we have in the room to look at how do we create conditions that enable them to not only survive but grow and become well established. So I'm just saying there is a lot that could be done to support the sector to grow, and indeed the not so far future that we can see with the visible eye also calls on us to start imagining the type of spaces that we'll have that will require the automotive industry to operate efficiently. Surely when you are designing a new mall, you must start looking at malls that have charging spaces for electrical vehicles. Surely when you're talking about a future filling station, you must start designing it with anticipation of the amount of time that you need to charge a vehicle, an electrical vehicle. So in other words, it's not going to be that 5 minutes, fill up the tank and pay and go. What sort of design spaces, land use packaging that the near future, or rather not so far future, would require in terms of the automotive industry. There are implications in terms of the after-sales market, particularly in terms of parts. Which parts are going to be rendered irrelevant when we have electrical vehicles? What are the implications of those in terms of the unemployment trends that really are growing in the country and globally, for that matter? So there's quite a number of things that I think we may have to really sit down and look at them at the finer detail, particularly in terms of your small business sector, where we do have structures. We have structures owned by ECTC that could be reconfigured to enable this sector to operate. So there's a vast space that we can operate. In other words, then somebody may have to invest resources to prepare those structures so that companies of this nature could have access to such structures. In other words, we accept that this cohort of businesses might not have resources to reconfigure an old factory, but then AIDAC and other state entities, including municipalities, be intentional in saying this is the space that we want to set aside for the automotive industry. And that would enable us to know and to channel a disposal of chemicals when it comes to panel beating companies, disposal of oil and other things.
Sure.
And
Sorry, I just want to move, I want to create some space for the others to talk a bit around some specific topics that I want to address. From the private sector specifically, the term collaboration was mentioned. I want to use a scenario that I would think that most of us that are sitting here experience. A customer arrives on site, requests a quote for, let's say, a windscreen to be replaced or some panel beating to be done in the vehicle. A quote is provided, and a deposit is requested. The deposit is paid. The work starts to happen or the work gets done, and then the balance of the payment is required. The customer does a transaction electronically and shows the business owner that the transaction's been done. The time from when that transaction leaves the customer's account to landing in the business owner's account is potentially 1 or 2 days or 3 days. Maybe maximum that one day or 2 days, depending on time of week. And sometimes I think that transaction possibly never even happened. So the business owner, and the car is taken, then the business owner is sitting either, firstly, with a delay in that transfer, so the cash flow is affected, because we're talking micro businesses or small businesses. So we're sitting and waiting for that to be reflected in my account. So when I try to access, I'm waiting for that, because it's cash flow. It's a cash flow issue. That's the one issue. The other issue is the potential that the vehicle's gone. The owner is sitting waiting for the transaction to reflect in their account. And that never comes through because they've been ripped off, if I could say. How are banks and telecoms operators working together to assist maybe in reducing the cost of the transaction fees for the business owner, potentially, and additionally, how are they working to reduce the time frame and the risk that is exposed to the business owner? So let me maybe start with MTN. Let's start with MTN.
Yeah, let me attempt. I might not be maybe the most relevant, but let me attempt it in twofold. I mentioned earlier on that the three businesses I look after in the region are consumer business, enterprise, as well as fintech. Fintech is a fairly new business within us as a telco, which is somewhat, you could look at it as a bank. So if you go to our stand at the back, you'll find that there is a point of sale machine that is there that we're advertising. So that's a space, the new space that we're playing in now, which means then we're starting to play in the banking space. Not fully as the other two colleagues, absolutely. And so it's a space that we're looking into getting into. But where we're starting to use mobility for banking. In other words, focusing on the unbanked. I'm not necessarily answering your question directly right now, but that's a space that we're looking into. Possibly from a telco perspective, what we could do then in collaboration with the banks is probably look into building an application. I don't think it does exist, but maybe the colleagues from the banks can support. Probably building an application that could assist the colleagues in the room, in a sense that maybe build an application that could be linked to, I think it used to be called BankServe. So in other words, the centralized area that that does the transactions between the banks, that perhaps then, in a simple application that says that perhaps then when that transaction is done by the client, one can use the bank account details to punch into the application to check against all the banks that indeed the transaction has been done, and it actually gives an answer. That is something as a technology partner that we could do or could collaborate with the banks, whether perhaps through our fintech business, using our technology, using mobility technology, because that technology could actually be in the hands of a mobile device with the colleagues in the room, and be able to do that on time, be able to transact, be able to have an answer. That is probably what the contribution I could make around it. But colleagues, definitely.
Maybe if I can go to ABSA next.
Yes. I think if you look at the cost of doing business for SMEs, we definitely focus on the digital play. We also focus on payment systems as well as collection systems, just to make sure that there's a full visibility and control of the flow of funds, ensuring that the funds are utilized for the purpose of actually generating revenue, as well as being able to collect. And all of these, first of all, they shorten the turnaround times because we are using technology with third-party partnerships with fintechs as well. By the way, we are on the accelerator funding panel for MTN. So we do get referrals for their contractors as well that are as part of their accelerator program. So we use technology, we use alternative ways of assessing finance. We also do assist in reducing the burden of them requiring to have collateral, because I think historically they would not have the balance sheet to be able to compete. So we've got various instruments that we've designed within enterprise development to make it easier to access finance, to bring the cost of doing funding, and also whether it's payments, just to ensure that, small businesses are competitive, they are agile, and they are also able to access the resources to execute on their business plans. Thank you.
Stand back.
No, thanks very much. Where I'm sitting, I don't think I'm in the right position to talk about reducing of fees but let's attempt this. I think the banking sector has improved their technology. When we're around the 80s, we're all going inside the bank to do deposits. Okay? Now, if you look at the banking sector, we have shrinked the banking space. Because what we are saying as a bank to say, let's go, all of us go digital, let's go, let's use technology. Now, you look at the SMEs, they can transact from their mobile phone now. Before you never do that, you need to go and see the consultant, then wait in the queue and be called next, until the branch is closed. Now, I think the banks have introduced technology, and that technology that has been introduced by the banks has made sure that, the cost to run the banks has decreased compared to before. Now, when the cost of running the bank decrease, now the benefits go to the customers to say, as customers, now the benefit of doing this transaction has decreased. Because when you've got a banker at the branch accepting the cash, you've got a human being that you need to pay salaries to. But you go to the machine, you deposit your cash, that cash is there. And by doing so, you've already made your deposit. Now that has reduced the cost of doing the banking. We all agree. Secondly, it's around the SMEs themselves. They are scared of the bank. Because when you engage your bank and try to understand the mechanism and solution to do your business quicker and easy and at low cost, there are mechanisms. I know with the bank, we've got a new account called MyMo account for business, which at a very minimum cost, okay? Now, those are the things that we as an SME, you need to go to, you don't need to have a current account whereas you're not making so much revenue for your business. You need to get the account that talks to the need of your business, the cost of running that business. You don't go to have the same account that MTN has. MTN has a current account, they get billions in that account. Now you get charged the fees that actually should not be charged to you because whatever you get from your account is very minimum. Now the account is suitable for you. It's already been created in the bank to make sure that it only benefits you as an SME. Now, I will encourage the SMEs to say, you go to your bank, you engage your bank, and understand the benefits of each and every product that you have with your bank. Rather than sitting and when you get a call from the bank, we ignore that call, or you see the bank as a monster. When you're sick, you go to the doctor. You don't go somewhere else. Now, when you're talking finance, you go to your bank. They will understand and will help you. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. The banks have come to you, so you can have that discussion today. And I think maybe the matter of compliance that was mentioned earlier on, maybe the question is more addressed to Salga, is there's two issues. One, the matter of a business owner having their business at home. Let's say if you're doing a panel beating or paint shop, it may not be correctly zoned for that type of business in that particular area. And then the second aspect is the fact that the opportunity to register your business. There was one country I visited. I saw the SMME walk into a government institution at, I think it was about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. And we went in for our meeting. It was an hour and a half meeting, came back. The person walked out with in our terms, a CK document, walked out with a bank account, and walked out with a tax clearance certificate. That is very quick to get a business and SMME off the ground. Sorry. So maybe from Selga's perspective, how could we deal or support the SMME, particularly in the aftermarket automotive space, to be compliant and be able to work collaboratively, like you mentioned, with the other institutions like an ECDC and the other national and provincial institutions that exist? How could we set up a mechanism that supports SMMEs or micro businesses as well to be able to be compliant, so that when they land in the space of the private sector banks, etc., that they land with the documents that are needed to be able to facilitate whatever services and access whatever services they need?
I think it's, I would answer your question in two parts. The first part is, perhaps let's ask the question, how do we help those that want to comply? Because there is a huge proportion of others who would do everything possible not to comply. And that's the unavoidable disruptor I was talking about. Otherwise, it's very easy to assist businesses that want to comply, because it's all about ensuring that your business is where the municipal zoning has actually determined that this space has been designed for businesses of this nature. And it's fairly easy, because you so a lot of work here could be done. So a lot of work here could be done. We are currently exploring assisting municipalities to use technology to bring together a variety of these packages you're talking about, so that there is a one-stop shop where a business person can actually apply for all of those things and access them. I'm not sure about banks, because that actually becomes an exclusive enclave in the context of South Africa. But in the context of other countries, I know it's very easy that you can actually have a one-stop shop where you access, you can open a bank account, you can get a tax clearance certificate, you can actually do banking in one area and apply for business licenses. We have started getting municipalities to pay attention to red tape, the turnaround time when people are applying for development applications, the turnaround time for when people apply for licenses, for permits, for approval of building plans. Those are some of the things that we're working on. And fortunately, AIDC is part of the conversations that is trying to get us to get municipalities to appreciate what are the key important things that investors are interested in, businesses are interested in. Because we thought that there is ECTC to support businesses, there is public enterprise to support businesses, and it's becoming clear that each municipality must actually have internal capacity to provide support to SMMEs. If we are to have a sense in terms of the number of enterprises that are active in our municipal spaces, the survival rate in terms of enterprises within our municipal jurisdiction, and even to look at matters of compliance. Otherwise, it's very easy. A municipality can basically develop a bylaw, but a bylaw is not for its own sake. A bylaw actually has to be developed because the sector is asking for it. It is an intervention to solve a problem, like the public policy. So compliance with a bylaw is therefore not necessarily a matter that requires a municipality to enforce it, but a municipality to support society in ensuring that there is compliance. So we are actually paying closer attention to such matters. There are municipalities that are already starting to build relations with CEDA, with ECTC, and other entities, so that there is internal capacity, there is sufficient knowledge so that we can provide support to businesses. obviously, there are other things that we have created space for them to happen, and they now have become almost impossible to contain. So you still have people who have retail outlets. They sleep on top of the same meal that they will sell the next day. We've created a system where people are able to sell illicit goods and therefore eroding our tax base as a country. When communities step up to deal with those matters, we still have to respect the rule of law and rights that people have to enjoy within the jurisdiction of the Republic. So it's a massive space that we need to deal with. We have cars that have funny number plates, and they're not paying license. Yeah. They're not paying registration licensing within our municipal revenue departments. So it's a vast space that we need to pay a closer attention to. As I'm saying, we can take a drive around town. You'll see just outside a tavern, somebody's panel beating a vehicle. And one wonders, where does that person buy paint, chemicals to that, and how does that person dispose of those? Yeah. So it's a very big challenge that we need to find a way to deal with.
Yeah, I think the compliance space requires a very collaborative approach, especially at government level. I think it requires, like we always talk about 3 tiers of government. The compliance is there to protect us, similar to the OHS discussion. It's there to protect all of us. It's how we support in getting that compliance achieved. And I think sort of when we look at on paper, the institutions are there, but it's connecting the institutions and how each one is able to play in that space of compliance. Yeah. That's where the trick comes in. And I think that's possibly an opportunity there. I think maybe what I'd like to do is open, I know that there's probably questions coming from the floor. I would like to open the space for, is there a roving mic? I'm just trying to see. Sorry, my eyesight is not that good. I've got the lights. Oh, there we go. Okay. Sonke has got the mic. Can I ask that if you do have a question, please stand up, give us your name, the company that you represent, and the question that you have. Can I ask that we concise and clear with the question so that it's responded to? We can do another round of questions, but let's try as much as possible to be clear and concise with the question so that we can respond to it adequately. Hands, please. There we go. Let's start here. Go for it, yeah.
Good day. My name is Luvuyo Mkweba, representing Ashuma Auto Mechanic. Standard Bank, Zimnandes Indaba. You are bringing us good news. The soft loan, I want to ask, do you do credit checks on soft loans? And then MTN, ABSA, and what else? Standard Bank. Are you willing to market or to advertise in our spaces as workshops that are here to market your products, things that you are selling that you want the community to get out there? Let's say I've got this pillar in my workshop and you've got a product that you want to get it out there. Are you able to say, Ashuma Auto, can you put this pillar, I'm going to pay 500 rands or 250 rands a month for that advert to go? And I think if you are saying you are helping us to grow, I think this is where we need to start on the ground. We've got a problem of OEMs here. When you are saying you are fixing cars, There are cars that are parked at the airport. We want to be part of that program and fix their cars. But we are asked OEM numbers. But our parts, where we buy and stock parts, we buy from OEM, I think compliant suppliers. Now, what I want to know is, you are here representing your banks and giving and institutions and giving us all of this good news that we want to hear. Now, how far will you go to help us in order to get where we want to go? Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe let's give you space to answer that. Is that okay? And then we will take the two other questions. Go for it. MTN?
Maybe I can start. I got excited and I'm going to the second question. And I know the first question was to Standard Bank.
Yeah.
I got excited about the advertisement on your walls that you asked.
Sorry, would you?
Oh, is it
The bedroom voice is getting quieter.
I'm back to my bedroom voice. Okay. All right. Okay.
They've got the levels up maximum there. So.
Okay. Let me try again. I was saying I got excited with the question that you're asking about the advertising on the walls. And it is absolutely something we do as MTN today, and we've been doing it, but we're actually accelerating it right now. If you go to Mdantsane and go to Duncan Village, if I make an example about in East London, when I'm living here, I'm actually doing a trade visit in Duncan Village where I'm looking what we call wall murals, where we advertise on people's walls. And of course, we are targeting areas where there's concentration of people and drive certain offers. We do pay the people where we do the paintings or advertising on their walls. Likewise, in your business, your business might not necessarily be in a concentrated area with masses, but your business might be visited by the kind of people that I'm looking for to sell fiber, as an example. So I'm happy to engage with you. Actually, I would like your details after this, because depending where your business is, what kind of people that visit your business, we could definitely do something. That is something we do today. It's a massive focus for us as a business.
Standard Bank?
Yeah, a good question. Credit checks, ne? As a bank, we have to comply, isn't it? Isn't it? As a bank, we have a license to trade. And that license also has got terms and conditions. You have to comply. But let me tell you, these are the good news. You go to our stand, you'll get a pamphlet like this. You don't have to come to me. It will give you more information there about what I'm saying. We do credit check on yourself as the owner and the business. That is very fundamental. We have to do it. We can't skip that, isn't it? Now, let me say you run that business. You've got a adverse credit record in your name or in your name. Let's say in your name, you owe Edgar's 500 rand. I'm just giving a simple example. In the normal course of the bank, here is ABSA, won't be lended, won't be given any credit. Isn't it? But within enterprise development, because our mandate is to grow you, we know that no one is clean. We've got our own hohokis. If myself working for a bank, I've got my own skelempies that are sitting there around me, okay? I get calls as well. But we are saying that let's work with you to rehabilitate your business. Through our grants, we're going to give you the money as part of this loan, but that money must pay off. You understand what I'm saying? Rehabilitating your business so that you can come back to normal course of the bank. But if you are blacklisted, that means now we've got judgment against your name. We can't touch you. That's a legal process. But smaller amounts against you against the name, that we use what we call rehabilitation fund within enterprise development to clean your name so that you can come back to normal course of your business and do normal lending with the bank. Thank you.
Let me give Absa some space to share.
No. Enterprise development is exactly that, it's developmental. So we do look at the rationale why your credit record was impaired, and we walk the path with you to ensure that you actually are able to rehabilitate that, get into arrangements. And it is important that we do this because we need to protect the integrity of the entire financial ecosystem. So, like my colleague there from Standard Bank has indicated, we've got licensing requirements, we're in a regulated environment. However, for those that are keen to ensure that they are able to go and walk the path with us towards rehabilitation, we definitely are able to support you in terms of that. I'll go into the other part, which is around the marketing assistance. So for Upside Lines, you would know that we run a campaign called Small Business Fridays. So with that, we are actually able to give you marketing collateral that you can display, and there are certain benefits that you get, like cashback on card purchases that are made at your outlet. And this is part of how we market and assist small businesses with just getting them to draw feet. So we advertise in the media, we advertise on social media, and we're actually able to draw increased feet. The stats, I think in the past year, are saying that our customers, on an average, they see a 40% uptick in sales, as well as cashback that they would get just through participating in this program. So that is how we both increase visibility, but also incentivize businesses to come through your doors and to support you using that hashtag Small Biz Fridays.
Yeah, I think what's quite important is that the services that are provided by the banks are supported by strong mentorship and coaching to de-risk the investment that the banks are making and even the municipalities are making. I think that mentorship and coaching serves as a very strategic support mechanism to making sure that businesses can grow and develop. Because sometimes ourselves, when I think about when you start talking about credit and blacklisting, etc., the fear that system has imposed on us basically takes away all the hope that we have, And we need to instill hope. But it's difficult. It's difficult to build hope when you're trying to keep a business alive and you're trying to keep food on the table. And the coaching and the mentorship just comes and just helps carry that weight a little bit more. Just gives you that little bit more strength to be able to say, I can wake up tomorrow morning and I can try. Or that mentorship and coaching connects you to the right parties because they've got those relationships, etc. And how to navigate out of that space of hopelessness sometimes, So I think that that's something that we could definitely look at as possibly even from an AIDC Eastern Cape perspective, from an aftermarket support mechanism to support that as a service in the solution, ultimate solution. Let me take the second question. There was a gentleman down there.
Good afternoon, guys. My name is Tandolwetu Slingela from Fuzafulele Trading. First of all, I would like to thank AIDC Eastern Cape for inviting us here. And honestly, we do recognize what you are doing, and we're very honored to be part and parcel of this event. I've got a question for the banks. The banks, we are SMEs. It's like, it's a newborn baby. We're not like the other big companies. Okay, you see this person is banking with you. He's trying to make money come oftenly to the account. But now, as we go to your branches to open up our business accounts, there are some documents that you require. Actually, CK documents, tax clearance, and other things. I don't know, as you've been around us for such a long time, you know when a baby is growing up, when the baby starts to crawl, you hold it by its hand. But what I'm asking is, guys, what do you do for SMEs, you as bank, to plow back to them and grow them up? That's my question. Like, for instance, if I can make an example for you. Okay, I'm seeing this person is in the automotive industry. Now this person is suffering from this and that. Do you actually go and see the what can I say? The place where this person is working at? Okay, the person where is this person is doing his business. Do you actually go there and see what are they short of that we can assist as the bank? Then you know this person is banking with you. Then I'm 100% sure that that SME will never be able to leave you. Will just say, no, ABSA assisted me, Standard Bank assisted me to be where I am today. Yes. Number two, my second question is, it goes to Salga. I just wish, actually it's not a question, it's just a way of adding. I just wish if you could use much more communication on the local municipalities or on your LED departments, it can be better. Because like finding the SMEs in such a rural areas like ours, it's quite difficult. And as me, Thandolwe Tuslingela, as the mechanic, I don't even go online when I'm working with an engine because my hands are dirty, full with oil. So now, the means of communication, it's the key to you and the SMEs on the local areas, not in township. I mean rural areas, not in townships. Because we don't even use WhatsApp. We're only using our small Nokia phones or the one that you don't even buy data for when you are working. So now, how about you improve your way of communicating with rural people, SMEs from rural areas, guys? Because they want to be part and parcel of this. And as I hear you are talking, guys, here, I don't know whether it's my lack of understanding or what, but we must first of all start to understand the name small. We're starting from small, then it says medium, micro, enterprises. So please do not treat us like we BMWs and Audis. We're not there, but we want to be there. So make sure that you help us grow up. Thank you very much.
Sure. Panelists, can I just go to the next question so that we can just quickly get through to the next question? I think there was one person on that side.
Thank you. My name is Zoli Letini. My name is Zoli Letini. My question probably, Rowan, is intertwined with what Mr. Mkhwetyane presented. What is the exercise in terms of compliance on the safety regulations? Is there an understanding between AIDC as well as SALGA? Because follow up what this young man is saying, these manyindana, sorry for the better word, are operating as lokshini as lali. Now, as a qualified tradesman myself, you do not want to confine somebody who's a panel beater or auto electrician or any other of the skills that you're talking about. How I wish that the exercise done by UBL, Mr. Mkhwetyane, it coincides with the footprint Yakasaga. Because Aba Maspala, Semdantsane originally from Nasedangen village. Emdantsane, there is a small business, Kwa11. You cannot get imoto Z3 to panel beat them. In the classroom. Now you need space to have VHS machine to do all the things that you require. If you are a mechanic, you need the hoists, including in most of the designated trades. My plea to AIDC is that in the exercise that you're doing, to try and affirm Abamanyindane and make them competent, is that they must get the basics of what a workshop requires in order to be compliant, so that we don't take imoto kwa Ronnie's, kwa Toyota or Eastern Cape Motors in the established institutions, or Body Right or Gordon Cummings. My plea, Kuni, especially these partners, if Ubele Ukhwatyana, no Krisal, Mr. Greg, and yourselves, because the banks are full and into a zone. They are not interested babaza kulungiselela njani na. Funeka uzese umile. So how I wish this exercise, it's a very good exercise. As a tradesman myself, I spent 10 years as an apprenticeship inspector. I had 11 years as CEO of Border Training Center. So I'm passionate about what we're talking about. Thank you, Chair.
So our last question is the gentleman that was down on this side. Colleagues, I have to honor the people that did put their hands up, and I acknowledge their hands. I have to give that gentleman space to talk first.
Mandibulise kwindlu yonke. Mna i-question yam inoba izaba lapha kusalga isikakhulu urhulumente okanye. Sonke silapha thina sisendaweni erongo mhlawumbi in terms of business. Kukho i-business ezoperata ngoku, especially into zidibene nemoto. Abantu bokufika. Asazi noba ke bakomplya kobani bona okanye babhatala kobani i-tax. Yonke le business ithi siyayifuna ipha kubo njengoba sithetha nje. So usalga uthini ngaloo nto leyo? Secondly ke kukhona ezi business eziba upresident esitsho. Kukhona apha asikwazi nofumana indawo zokusebenzela. Izimall business karhulumente zonke zidilapidated. So usalga uzama uthini ngaloo nto because ikwa yenye ye-revenue funa iyenzeka leyo, you understand? So i-business asizoba nayo thina apha sikomplya sinjalo because i-business imka nabantu bokufika. Phambi kwethu nezitratwezi zizigcwele nezirhoxo nezitratwezi akho nento esurvive yomntu omnyama sithini sindawone kanye kanye. Enkosi.
Okay, one question on that side, and then last question with the chair in front here. Am I missing any hands? There we go, the third question.
Good afternoon. My name is Pauline Muzenda from Muz Motor Center here in East London. Mine is starting with the banks. I just want to say you are sitting right there as our enemy number one. Why? Because the government decided to give banks a contract to run on our behalf, and the same bank is the one that's making us sit here as distressed merchants without work. If we get work, that is, we also get blocked here and there for nothing. And we come to you guys, to the banks, to look for money. We don't qualify. We'll never qualify in actual fact. So as you are sitting there, you are not a stakeholder in our businesses. Point number 2, Salga. We get work from the municipalities, we don't get paid. So it's 4 enemies sitting in front of us. Yes. And also, we rent our premises from white people who charge us 10 times the normal rental price. and Salga sitting here. You probably have buildings and ECDC here. You probably have buildings that we can utilize, but we are not utilizing them. So it's just paving a way for people to we're just working for the landlords in actual fact. So, and in terms of MTN, technology, people are still holding those small phones, which means we are missing a lot of things. When we came here, we were written on the side. We are the stakeholder, we are the big stakeholder in this, but we are 50 in our WhatsApp group, but probably we have 20 workshops here because we are not technologically advanced to know what is going on. We only got to know this yesterday. When we came here, we were almost kicked out because we didn't register online. And we are the people that are supposed to be here. So there's a lot of work to be done. And I don't know, we'll remain small for the rest of our lives. I don't think we are anywhere near getting to medium. That is my take. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. We can have the chairperson in front and then the colleague at the back. This chairperson at the front. Then at the back. That's the last hand I'm thinking.
Thank you. Good day. Thank you very much for the input from the panelists. I certainly promise that I'm not going to be that long. My name is Pumzile Zitumane. I am part of the board of AITC Eastern Cape. Mine was, or remains, just a small issue, but very, very, very important to the banks. Do you have programs that are intended to accelerate the integration of women in the economic development mainstream? Ndonqene ukuthi ke ingathi sibona umngcwabo wengozi. When you see all men, even the program director is a man, it's all men. I'm not sure what's the percentage of men who are here. That's the reputation of the automotive sector. So part of our responsibility is to transform that. So I just wanted to check on your part, if as banks you do have just focused programs for women in the automotive space. Thank you very much. Of course, I'm still a man.
Thank you. And then the final question right at the end.
Good afternoon, or morning rather. I'm Celeste Duplessis. I'm from Queenstown, from RNC Mechanical Workshop. My question to the banks are, or rather a suggestion. I've heard everyone talk about finance, funding, compliances and all that. What I would want to know, seeing that all of us here are SMMEs, the banks are talking about compliance and the requirements needed. We all small businesses. Can they not rather, instead of having all these indabas and informations and whatever programs they're running, can they not rather then initiate something to assist the SMMEs when it comes to accounting, to run their business? Because when it comes to accounting services, that's where we get compliant. So instead of keep on telling us that we must be compliant, offer these services. If I come to you to bank with you, these are the type of things you must put on the table for me to say, right, you are SMME. This is the fee you'll pay on a monthly basis, and then it will come with your own personal accountant. We'll give you your financial statements. We'll run your manager accounts. We'll do all that and all that. Because now, us as small businesses, we must still pay the bank a fee to run our finances, and yet we must go pay an outside source to run our financials, whereas we can get that at one place. I would suggest that that's a type of offer that must put in place, because if I come to you for funds, give me someone that will run my funds with me, because we're all not so clued up with compliances, especially your tax and all that type of things. So give us a full package when we come for funding. Don't just say declined. Give us the full package, accountants, manager accounts, all that. So previously there was mentioned about audits. Give us the information regarding the audits so that once we go to you and we ask for funds, we'll know how to run that funds properly. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, can I maybe, can I start from Salga's side and then move this way, if that's okay?
No, that's fine. I think some of the issues that have been raised are more suggestions. What we, as part of our drive to get municipalities appropriately positioned to interface with organized businesses, is to assist in reviving organizations of businesses, because that's one of the challenges that we've experienced, that at times it becomes very difficult to interface with industry-specific interests. And we will work with AIDC in this regard, so that there is a revival of what we used to do at the beginning of the new dispensation of local government, where there's an interface between the leadership of municipalities with businesses. I think I note the issue of delays in payment. We've been working very closely with the Premier to ensure that enterprises and businesses are paid within 30 days. And at times you find that you need to explain to people that it's not necessarily meaning that you must pay on the 30th day. You can pay on the first day. It's just that you must pay within 30 days. Now, in certain instances, it depends on the agreement that a company signs with the municipality, because at times there are agreements that would prescribe a 90 day, which is very risky for any business. But that's what we've picked up. I would like to get details in terms of which municipality, in terms of that particular enterprise, where there's been payment delays. So far, I think we've been doing fairly well. We're keeping track, both in municipalities and the provincial government, in terms of being efficient in terms of paying within the prescribed 30 days. Coming to the disruptors, I wanted to be polite about classifying it, because it is a real challenge that we cannot avoid. It might well be a case of us lacking the skill, or it might well be that we have the skill but do not have the business skill, and you end up with expatriates taking up that space and running certain outlets. They are actually active in all sectors. It's not only in the automotive sector. It's something that we may need to look at, because there are requirements for people to be inside the country. Those that are rightfully in the country, whether as permanent residents or as citizens in the Republic, do have a right to operate businesses. We ought to have done certain things, but we didn't do them at the beginning of the new democratic era. And now we have our brothers and sisters from all over the world, not only in Africa. And they are running businesses. I mean, there's a Chinese who's running a tavern in Stadaren. It's not like we're talking about our brothers and sisters from the continent. We may have to, as part of the compliance drive, to look at whether these are appropriate people to run businesses in the context of South Africa because they would have to have the necessary papers. If they have the papers, they can run businesses. What we need to do is to make sure that they run businesses in appropriately zoned spaces. They are compliant in terms of our bylaws and our laws. I agree with the point that was made earlier on. In fact, it's the point that I made earlier on, that we do need to work together with Transnet, with ECTC, with Public Works, because some of the small business centers that were there are not necessarily owned by municipalities. So we may need to cooperate, working together to revive them, so that businesses, small enterprises, small and medium enterprises have access to appropriately designed and zoned spaces for the automotive sector. It's something that we can work together in partnership with ECTC because they own a lot of properties, with Public Works, with Transnet, and other entities. I know AITC might not own such assets. It's the new player in the space, but indeed we have those properties that we do need to find a way to revive. I don't think they will be for free. They will not be for free, and I'm sure ECTC will be very happy to generate revenue from such properties, and so might be a municipality in the case that in the event that they invest in such. They might be slightly cheaper than the industry in terms of accessing such spaces from the private sector. So we're very keen to work in partnership with all those entities in terms of reviving the small businesses. Thanks, Program Director.
Thank you, Zolga. Samang?
Yeah, no, thanks very much. No, I think the challenge, the SME they have with the banks that, as I said before, you don't visit your bank and you don't ask questions. Now, I'll give a simple example. You know, SME will sit with the challenge of not being able to service his debts, okay, with the bank. But the SME will sit, wait for the bank to call. He's not being proactive and go and visit the bank, okay? Now, yes, you can say we banks, you know, we looks like we are monsters, we don't want to engage you, but you don't engage with your banks. If I can ask example now, one question. How many of these SMEs sitting here, who bank, who Standard Bank, they know who are their relationship managers? None. You see, only two hands. Have you engaged your relationship manager? Because as a bank, Standard Bank, what I know is that your relationship manager is the person that is closer to your business, is the person that will know your business. And if you don't know your relationship manager, how then will you know about the products of the bank, about your own business, how it's being managed? Because in the banking sector, we work with scoring. We score the businesses. The behavior of your business, we see it from the system, okay? Now, who looks after that behavior of your business? Your relationship manager or your banker will know your behavior, the behavior of your business. Now, if you don't engage that person, try and understand that, does he understand your business? When you apply for the facility, you are not the one that taking that application to the credit committee for that facility to be approved. Your relationship manager or your banker take that application on your behalf and motivate and write that application on your behalf. Now you allow someone that doesn't know your business to go and represent your business. It's going to misrepresent your business, isn't it? Now it's very key. I'm begging you all. This bank with Standard Bank, make sure that you know your relationship manager, you engage your relationship manager. Your relationship managers, they are mandated and they are always asked to visit your business, to know your business. Someone asked the question around, do we visit the businesses? Yes. Your business manager should be visiting your business, should be knowing about your business. The ins and out of your business must know. Must know even the coffee that you drink. Okay? If you drink a black Americano, when you come to the branch, you must say, Mr. So-and-so, I don't have a black Americano today for you. I'm sorry to say this, but have you been in Durban? You know, the Indians, the way they run the business, they are close to their bankers. When they go to the branch, you'll hear the Indian a person talking to the banker to say, how's the family, how's so-and-so? You know, that relationship is very key. Now, please, make sure that you've got this relationship with your banker. It's very key. I blame you, I'm not blaming the bank. Around the women programs, at Standard Bank, we have what we call Basadi. You know what's Basadi? That language, no Basadi. Lightsaber. We've got Basadi Development Program. It's a year program. It's only for women. We run that program. It's for all the sectors. Now, hence I'm saying, you don't ask. You don't know your bank. If you know your bank, I think this program, you'll know it. It's been running, I think, now for the sixth time. Every year has been running. Now it's going to be opening again for women-owned business. We've got beneficiaries for that program here in Eastern Cape. Last 3 months back, I was in Kaibecha. There's a woman that benefited from that program. Now, it's very key that you understand what is ESD of Standard Bank do? How can ESD of Standard Bank support me as a business? How can they assist me? What initiative they have, okay, to support small businesses? Please, stay closer to your bank. Now, there was a question to say we have problem coming to the bank doesn't have an accountant that assists us with our financials, isn't it? Okay. I'll give example. At Standard Bank, we appoint tax consultant to work with SME. We have one tax company which is called SM Tax. I don't know if you know SM Tax. The bank has appointed SM Tax to work with small SMEs for Eastern Cape, Western Cape, and KZN. Okay? Now, the responsibility of SM Tax is to assist you at no cost. Cost with ED. Okay? I'll give example. There was one of the IEDC beneficiary that is situated in Queenstown. Okay? He has a problem with the financials. Say, I need someone to assist me with my financials. Okay? We pointed the business to our accounting firm to assist with the financials at no cost. Now, that's why I'm saying I don't blame the banks. I blame you, SMEs. You take the bank as a monster, you don't want to engage the bank, and when you get calls, you cut those calls. You don't know your bankers. Thank you.
Jane.
Very quickly.
The caps are a little bit less on that one.
Yeah. There was only one question that I noted for us as MTN, but I want to make 3 comments or 2 comments on other 2 matters. The question was from the lady this side was about the lack of access to technology, or rather lack of knowledge around what technology services are available to you to use. Very quickly, what I would advise immediately is that this is exactly the reason why we created the SME Hub platform. How you access it is, it's called MTN SME Hub.co.za. It's a free-to-use platform that gives you digital tools that can enable your business. How do you make use of digital marketing tools that are available to you? How do you manage your finances in your business? How do you access finance? What platforms are available to you to access finance? How do you access to market? So there's content that's available to you to use around that. But over and above that, I would like to engage with the AIDC to say perhaps what we could do is maybe in the AIDC newsletter, if there is one that goes out, perhaps we as the MTN could have a space there that talks about what are the technology trends, what are the solutions that are available at your disposal to use around technology. That at times, many times, that some of the solutions may not necessarily need you to buy anything. There's many available solutions that are for free for you to use, and would like to be part of that solution with you to impart that knowledge. The hub does exactly that, but over and above that, I'm happy that to partner with AIDC to drive newsletters with them to communicate as such to you. Whether we use the WhatsApp platforms that you mentioned that you are part of, whether we use email solutions to communicate the message. I think that the two more comments I just want to make, Tedros Dumale asked a question around, the programs that the banks are running around women empowerment, being inclusive of women. I think we as a telco sector, we actually suffer from the same, that you see from a bank's perspective. We recognize that in the telecom sector. And I'm happy to say that it's one of the focus areas at MTN, to a point where we track this as a KPI at MTN. Today, we're almost at a 50-50 from a management perspective at MTN between women and males. And it's something that we're driving. So I'm encouraging, obviously, the colleagues from the banks. I'm sure they've got their own programs, as the gentleman said, that they're driving. It is something that we need to transform in the sectors where women are not represented. If it's an automotive sector, it is a telecom sector, and other sectors, banks, and the likes, we need to work together around that. And probably just a last one, then there was a gentleman that asked or mentioned a question that you could be working and your hands are full of oil, you don't have access to information, you're not able to use your devices. And you mentioned that you could be using those low-end devices. I encourage you to really engage us. Some of you may not be aware that ICASA has mandated all the telcos to switch off the 3G network or the 3G spectrum by end of next year. What that means is that all your basic devices, let me call it that, all your non-4G devices will then not work after 2024. There's a reason why ICASA is doing this, is trying to free up the spectrum to ensure that there's efficiencies in the telco sector. We are driving a campaign as MTN right now to communicate to all our customers on we call it a 3G migration. Migrate from the older devices to the newer devices. We're actually funding this as MTN. So we actually have vouchers that we're giving to customers to try and support you in migrating from the older devices to the newer devices. So please watch the space. We're encouraging you, and we'll come in and help the businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to my colleagues. I think they've come up with quite a lot of responses that are generic. And I wanted to just support a colleague from MTN. It is imperative that you keep up with the technology. I mean, I don't know whether we've got SMS groups to disseminate information. So it really is important that we keep up, because it will make life easy. There's chat banking that allows you to be able to receive information, make payments, and the like. So we would really encourage you to migrate to those smartphones. We do encourage customer visits, because, I mean, that is where you are able to actually understand your customer's business and, in fact, what value can you add, because you'll be able to have a new set of eyes looking at your operations. So that is part of our operating model. You cannot run away from compliance. It is critical. Even from an enterprise development point of view, we have oversight that is done by the DTIC in terms of how do we spend the enterprise development money, because we are getting points for it. So compliance we try and make it easier, and we continue to do so, but it is a fact of life. Women and youth are a big focus point for us. We've just introduced new value propositions that focus on women, called She Thrives and Emerging Entrepreneur, which is for the youth. Please, you'll be able to find good value there. We've put on value-added services that are actually talking to you. Somebody mentioned around, do you assist with operational capacity? That is exactly the barrier to entry we are trying to make for what used to be called backyard mechanics, diagnostic tools if you are part of our client base, we are able to do that through our ED. And most importantly, if you look at the accounting packages, so we've got an entry-level product called Business Evolve, and it does include a bolt-on cash flow manager, which allows you to just, at the end of each month, it classifies your expenses, your transactions into, you can call it trial balance items. And it's able to actually give you a trial balance that you can then take to your accountant and be able to get, at a much cheaper cost, financial statements drawn for you. Because you are not coming there with just piles of bank statements. You are coming there now with a tool that actually makes it easier for your accountant to actually prepare statements for you. So if you're an upside client again and you don't know about that, we've got our stand desk over there. My colleagues are extremely knowledgeable and they will be able to. Bless you. And in fact, you can scan, you can use the QR codes there, and you'll be able to just have about 5 lines that you put it in, and then we'll be able to contact you afterwards. We'll know what your interests are, what your business is all about, and we are able to do that. So we are also bringing technology to make things much easier for you. Thank you.
Colleagues, I want to thank the panelists for their extensive engagement with us. I think we've covered a lot of topics, and we've. I'm hoping that my daughter says, "You my frenemy," you're my friend and my enemy at the same time. I'm hoping that we've transitioned towards it being friends, But I think the guys are here, and the officials are here from each of the institutions who are willing to engage and unpack the details a lot more. So thank you very much, panelists. Thank you very much for your time. Colleagues, what I'd like to suggest with respect to the program now is that we will break for lunch. Lunch is being served on my right-hand side, your left-hand side. And we will come back together at 2 p.m. And please feel free to engage with each other and work with each other. If you have, yes, ma'am. No, sorry, unfortunately, we've got to close the session now. I would like to suggest maybe that you engage with the individuals one-on-one with your questions, or alternatively push it through the WhatsApp. Thank you. All right. Thank you, colleagues. The panelists, if you don't mind joining us, maybe in front of that banner to take a photograph, please, if that's possible. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, panelists. Thank you. Oh, you want to do a chat? Okay.
I'll tell it.